I just want to ask Mr. Gabelli the idea, Mario, of what do you do to filter the political investment of this era, this August, this 2019? How do you deal with a news flow in investment?
There's a lot of, you want to connect a lot of dots. The more important one for me is the tax rate that corporations have sustainable? Secondly, what is going on in global growth on a basis so that I can understand why the negative yields, currency, and the impact on currency on a global basis? What is the impact on the dollar? And that's important, Tom, because the earnings of public companies, 40% of the S&P earnings are either finance or non-U.S. The non-U.S. is being thrashed and anchored by the impact of currency. On the other side of the coin, companies like we own, like Campari, like Vivendi, selling into the United States get the benefit of their weak currency relative to the earnings.
So are you on the cusp of buying emerging market, buying the other Camparis that are out there?
Well, I wish there were more. Management's terrific. Yes, we own Pernod, we own that. But on the other side of the coin, a company in China is selling at a market cap of $200 billion, which is larger than the market cap of Diageo, because they have a big share of the premium market in China, which is premiumization. So we lie a lot of dots on a global basis. What we try to buy is good businesses run by people that come to work every day at reasonable prices and hold them for an extended period of time, particularly if they're cash generators.
One that you've held for a long time, obviously, Viacom and CBS. Curious as to whether you're actually suing on the valuation.
We have, as one of our teammates would say, all our options are still on the table. We want to see how far we go into the area. What we feel, it's not a big number, by the way.
No.
There's only like 5 or 10 million shares of the VIA voting stock. Should they have gotten a premium because it was selling at a premium? And if they pay you an extra X dollars, it's $50 million. As they say in the New York language, it's not a lot of money.
But are you waiting for Shari to just hand over a check, or are you actually going to take them to court for this?
That's a preamble. We will do whatever is necessary to help our clients who own the stock. And of the 615 million shares that will be outstanding, and by the way, this is a good deal. The stock is a buy, CBS-Viacom.
CBS is actually down another 6.5% since the deal.
Yes.
Are you actually buying more of it here?
We're buying it indirectly by buying some Viacom.
Right. Fold CBS into this historic moment this August is we have in our houses 1, 2, 5, 8 streaming services. Is Mario Gabelli bullish on streaming? And is your CBS, are they behind in the streaming?
Hey, Tom, I'll give you some math. There's 615 million pro forma shares out. The stock is 45. That's $25 billion. You got $15 billion of debt. We're paying $40 billion for the entire enterprise. That enterprise, without a major success in streaming, but putting money into content, is going to generate $30 billion.
Well, this is an important question. Should they bring back Gunsmoke? I remember our childhood and their apoplectic over all the old people watching CBS.
I agree. That brings up an important point, and that is Dark Phoenix, which was a product created, lost a ton of money, so that you have to have good content, but you need a library. So you want to buy CBS because it's going to work. I think Bacchus and Aiello are a good team, and Sherry is going to be in command.
The outlook is very rosy. What happens next, though? It's still a pretty small minnow. They do have streaming services, obviously, HBO, CBS All Access, but
they're not going to buy Bloomberg. So let's start with what they're not going to do.
But on the other side of the coin, Vonnie, right there.
That's it, Vonnie. It's not going to work. But independent of that, if I'm Amazon, I am looking at how do I get into this in a bigger way? How do I get content? Meanwhile, if I'm Sony, what do I do at my movie studio? Now that Fox and Disney got together, maybe the path is open to allow a combination of Sony's music. The point is, it's going to happen. Some further dynamic will unfold. Hopefully it happens a year from now.
And I know you're very excited about the new Taylor Swift offering, but I am curious.
Lovers.
Right, exactly. Now, do you see Alibaba or Jack Ma coming in here, Amazon and Netflix? Whose is it?
Well, you know, I'm glad you asked that, because we were very optimistic about Peppa Pig and Entertainment One, and I did not expect Hasbro to buy it. So there's a lot of going on in a global marketplace on a variety of ways. Tencent is interested in music. They want to put a position in Vivendi. And if that happens, it gives the Sony team, which is extraordinarily undervalued at $55, again, a $75 billion market cap. I like the sound of music.
You began in industrial America. You began studying wrenches in your hand. Is there value in industrial America? I know you're going to tell me consumer goods no, but in industrial America, is that a place to be given a trade war?
Right now, the CEOs that we listen to on conference calls have a certain element of hesitancy in terms of making commitments.
I'll say.
However, you cannot run this country without a big infrastructure bill, and you got to find a way to do more than gasoline taxes. How do you charge user fees on electric vehicles? How do you build bridges to 500,000 bridges, Tom? 200,000 need help.
Give us a name that we can express when they finally rebuild our infrastructure.
Well, the Fix America Surface Transportation, that is the Highway Act, comes up for renewal next year. If you want to buy that, when you buy a company in Chattanooga that's been poorly managed, but that's changing, called Aztec, the stock's 27. Right. You want to buy companies that sell cement, a company in Boston called Grace Construction Products, GCP. Right. Those are kind of companies. But then in equipment rental companies like Herc Rentals, which we own, United Rentals.
What about the railroads?
That's not for me.
What do you mean it's not for you?
I prefer focusing in the next 60 days on what is going to happen to industrial activity when Boeing gets the clearance to start shipping those planes that are piling up, Tom. They're still running at 42 a month. They claim they're going to go to 52, and you'll have.
Can you buy Boeing shares today? Given all this uproar? What was the news, Vani, that we had today? Yes, we had someone stepped away.
The Russian airline canceled and is suing them for.
Glad you know the news.
Well, it happens. I read. Independent of that, you have the following, Tom. We have a conference coming up, our 27th, on vendors to Boeing and Airbus. A company that we like, Kaman, K-A-M-N. Stock is $57. They're going to have $300 million cash, and they're going to have tapered roller bearings that go into Airbus, go into Boeing, that are really state-of-the-art. They do a great job at that. And they have heavy lift, which is what the Ukrainian company that the U.S. is trying to stop someone from buying is very good at. So there's a lot of going on in vendors to Boeing, Crane, Amatec, and companies like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yesterday's news. I'm on today's news already. I do want to come back to media, though, and Hasbro and Entertainment One, because it is up 31% since, on the premium. Do you see more of these? You said you weren't expecting this particular one, but it's a classic arbitrage opportunity. Where else do you see it?
No, the arbitrage is selling at a small premium as of last night. The UK market was closed on Monday, so I don't have an update on the price. But it was selling at a small premium and may still be this morning to the takeout value. Somebody thinking that someone else could come along. Peppa Pig is big, but our analyst, John Tinker, who's done a great job on the stock, is holding back.
Yeah.
Music, Vivendi,
John
Sony,
Jones, Liberty.
I like a company in Nashville that has a business that is growing called Ryman. There's 50 million shares.
Grand Ole Opry, yeah.
Yeah, Grand Ole Opry.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you've done that before.
Why the investment in GAM? Is that just a principle thing, or do you actually believe in GAM?
About 40 years ago, I worked at Lobroads with Gilbert de Botton. He had created Global Asset Management, Gamco, Gabelli Asset Management. Gamco had a product. So we kept in touch over the years. The stock is selling at a price that if you take the 160 million shares at £4 or wherever it is,
right.
It's not expensive if they get past this short-term dynamic.
The joy, Mario, of talking to you is the joy of individual stock selection that we knew generations ago. It's drifted away with ETFs and all the other bundled portfolios and packaged products. How do we get the kids back to individual stock selection?
I don't want them to do individual stock selection. I don't mind bundles. I think, however, they should understand how companies work, because I want them to understand how to allocate their own resources, how to keep options in their life about anything that's allowed them to do for the rest of their career. And so understanding how a business works. How does a 16-year-old go on and win a contest that Epic Games is doing? And what happens then? Should they do Sony now? And how do you
state the case for Sony? It's the third time you've mentioned Sony. Sony has been a dog for decades. It's been, by any instance, a failure. Why your optimism on Sony?
I think that basically in the last 6 years, and the two CEOs, the current one having been the previous CFO, they are looking at allocating a variety of resources, examining where their content is. But don't forget, they've got a powerful tailwind from streaming. In addition to that, PlayStation 5 is coming out a year from now, and that could have a challenge because you want to go mobile, you want to go online and play games.
Right.
Not that everything is simple.
Right.
However, the math is compelling. 6 times EBITDA, good, interesting business, good balance sheet.
Okay.